Welcome to the B2T show, where we empower Christian patriots with truth. This is Rick, your host. All right, here we are on Friday, March 13th. We have Trump putting another national emergency. Wow, declaring another national emergency. Just think about that, because we're already in our national emergency from this December 23rd. Remember, December 21st, this 2017 for human rights abuses. That's still active. But now, it's one that everybody knows about. This one he announces right on TV, national emergency for the COVID-19/coronavirus. And the Dow, what does the Dow do? The minute he starts bringing all this awesomeness and showing what he did, a record gain for a number of points in one day, all happening like the last hour of the market. It was an amazing thing. So obviously, I think that's going to be recovering there. And then we did a change. We're going to go over the health decode for internal, and Gene's got another decode he just did today based upon GESARA. So we'll dig into that instead, since that's a more urgent term. Robert Clymer is the first one on. Thank you so much. Lighthouse Lady then comes on, and we got people from all over the place. I appreciate that. It's just so fun to see what cities people are coming in. We got Oklahoma City. I saw Detroit in the house. Where you all got all from? Got Michigan in the house, New Zealand in the house. Thanks, David. Alabama's in the house. Springfield, Missouri. Appreciate you guys coming from all over the world. We are going to get Central Texas as well. We're going to get rolling. Let's go dig into exactly what's happened, then we'll get to this decode with Gene, but we got a lot of news to go over first, so I'm going to tackle that first. As you know, we're still God wins. That was the last post we had on March 9th, but boy, do we have news, and lots of news. Here we have President Trump announces official national emergency, opens up access to $50 billion with a B for states to combat coronavirus. And amazing things. It was a great press conference, in my opinion. If you went and looked at that, he brought all the private sector in, as well as just not making this a big bloated government program like most presidents would do. He's really using the private sector heavily to make this happen. And look at this. This is the stock market. Look what happened right at the end of the day. Right there, around 4 o'clock, right after so Trump is speaking, and why he's speaking, the market just starts climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing all the way till its close. So that they literally had a 9.36. I think that was the top 10% as percentage growth, but it was the leader for the increase for just one day. So that's the power of a president calming people after, obviously, in the last week, the mainstream media mockingbirds have successfully killed the market. So let me talk about my sponsor for this show. You're going to go to healthwithrick.com. Collagen may be the closest thing we ever get to the real fountain of youth. The older you are, in fact, the more likely it's caught your attention. And for good reason. Many health experts now agree that consuming collagen is as crucial as it gets to renew and revitalize how you look and feel. After all, collagen is the most abundant protein in your body and is essentially the glue that holds you together. In fact, after age 20, people produce about 12% less collagen in their skin each decade. For some, it's even greater decline. This means that by the time you're middle-aged, you could be producing less than half of the collagen you did in your youth. Even worse, various lifestyle factors you may have been exposed to, like poor diet, smoking, pollution, stress, and excess sun exposure, can deplete your collagen levels even faster. So visit my page at healthwithrick.com and purchase the only collagen on the market I trust. Link in the description here, or go to healthwithrick.com. You can see it's Dr. Matthew Roberts. If you look at this, it's got a lot of details, a lot of information about exactly what this does. I think you'll enjoy it at healthwithrick.com. All right, let's continue some of the news that are just amazing here. Here's Representative Jim Jordan basically saying real leadership, working with the private sector for solutions, launching a screening website, initiating drive-through testing, and topping off the strategic petroleum reserve when prices are low. So literally the prices of gas just fell significantly, and now Trump is going to basically get all our strategic reserves at the low price, and he's already kind of made that happen. So not only are we going to be completely independent from energy independent, we are now going to have strategic reserves full, topped off, is what he was talking about. So that is true leadership, as Jim Jordan would say, of what we're seeing right before our eyes as the Mockingbird media continues to lie and cheat as they protect their pedophiles. Just crazy what we see from that Mockingbird media, that literally being controlled by criminal propaganda. That's what it is. It's criminal propaganda. Trump just said the coming weeks we'll all have to make some changes and sacrifices, but the short-term sacrifices will produce long-term gain. It's happening. The storm is here. So is this the storm? Is this the very one he's been talking about? Is he going to use this crisis that it seems like he always knows what's going on? He's always so much further ahead. All the white hats in this operation and everything the deep state does backfires on him. This looks like one of them. As they try to tank the stock market, as they try to make Trump look bad and say, you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough. So that allows him to do the national emergency at this point in time. Interesting. And interesting things. Google, now that's the only thing that's kind of scary, is Google's developing the website. Now he has 1,700 people supposedly on this. But they have the best mapping program, Google Maps, in my opinion. I use it quite often. It tracks me, I'm sure, every minute of where I am. But it's very useful, right? And obviously, so you have CVS, and you have Walgreens, you have Target, and you have all these different companies that are allowing their parking lots, Walmart as well, to have their parking lots be used for a drive-by testing center. Okay, so you're going to be able, by Sunday, they're supposed to announce exactly when everything's coming up, but by Monday it should be up, I would guess, Monday or Tuesday. You'll be able to use this spot to go figure out where you should go be tested from. The national emergency could allow him to do all kinds of other things that we'll talk about just in a second with Gene. Here's a video talking about getting tested for coronavirus at the drive-through clinic. So here's a little video you can go watch yourself if you would like, from the Wall Street Journal link. And again, you'll find all my links on blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2 teach.com. If you haven't visited that site, go check it out. We have tons of stuff on there now. That's where you get to backstage, and look at the deal we have going on there, 45% off for the yearly, off the monthly fee. We have all kinds of free stuff, obviously, as well, just with the show notes. That's where you can sign up for the show notes every time I get done, you'll get them. I'm actually automating that, so they'll be much more timely than they even are now. I used to have to manually do it, so my IT guys are actually trying automating that. Should be ready soon. I'm about ready to put a new tab on there, by the way. That's going to be the health tab. A lot of that's already backstage for you guys, but now a lot of that's going to be coming up front stage. A new website should be coming up, I think Tuesday or Wednesday is when that will go live, on all the links to everything that Gene and I are recommending, right? Or, again, that's just the caveat. You got to be careful. We're not health professionals, but it's the links that we use to buy stuff ourselves, right? That's what's going to be going live by probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Sanders warns coronavirus meltdown on par with World War II. So here's the left and their talking points, just trying to say Trump mismanaged all this. You can't get tests. Just making their 4 a.m. criminal talking points. Sanders is delivering, so is Biden, so is obviously the controlled media, the enemy of the people, the true enemy of the people. Wow, they just get to my goat, right? I love watching the 5 on Fox, because you get the 4, conservatives talking there, and you have Juan, who gives you the talking points for the day. So if you want to know what the talking points for the day are, just listen to Juan on the 5, the first 15 minutes or so, and you'll figure out what the deep state talking points are. You can also go to several Twitter accounts and get them as well from some of these guys. This is interesting. Bill Gates resigns. Here we go. So Bill Gates, this is hot off the press. This came out, I just believe, 1713 just came out, barely. Bill Gates from Microsoft board. 1 hour after the close of another one of those most tumultuous weeks in Wall Street history, Bill Gates, the billionaire founder of Microsoft, resigned from the company's board. That's going to be real interesting. I wonder if some things are coming down the pipe that we're going to be talking about here. Here's Trump saying, it's my great honor to declare Sunday, March 15th as a national day of prayer. We are a country that throughout our history has looked to God for protection and strength in times like these. No matter where you may be, I encourage you to turn towards prayer in an act of faith. Together, we will easily prevail. There is the number one president in protection of religious liberties, somebody who's honoring God, as just amazing to see what's happened with this president. And it was interesting. I think that its Supernatural show was basically saying COVID-19 is going to destroy the United States unless Trump declares a national day of prayer. And so that just bugs me. I'm telling you that. But I'm just happy this happened from just a regular perspective versus these threats of people thinking that they know better than what the white hats are doing right now. So I think there's a lot of these TV ministries are going to be going down the toilet, in my opinion, as they get exposed for their corruption. And I'm not saying Sid Roth and Supernatural is, but I don't think it's looking good for any of these big, huge ministries that have all these prophets on all the time. I just don't believe we have that many prophets in the world, and I think that a lot of that stuff is false and made up, in my opinion. So, but wait, we're here to agree to disagree about things and think for ourselves. Don't believe everything I say. So keep on looking at it. So Lou's saying, who controls NG? Can they collaborate with the Marines? Clean and swift action is coming. That's what. So Lou thinks the whole national emergency and the ability for us to declare and martial law, etc., might be coming down the pipe as well. And I think if that's what Gene was saying about only 7 prophets in the world that are real true prophets. Now it says a lot of our people will be giving dreams and stuff like that. But if you say you're a prophet and then you have hundreds of people saying they're prophets and half of them are saying something different. Just goes to show, I think there's going to be a lot of, just like Mark said, exposing the deep state church. There's a lot of deep state church out there, and it's going to be amazing. But there's some amazing things going on. I want to talk a little bit about one of the persons I met when I was in the Dallas rally last year, and she's asking that you guys please go to change.org here, and it's if you actually, I'll put the link in the show notes, but you'll also be able to see, if you look at, if you just search on Travis James Maxey, this is a person that literally with a butcher knife killed these 2 people that had tons of kids. So now that's 6 children, several children-in-law, and multiple grandchildren that will never see their parents. Based on this guy, and they're trying to let him out some loophole with a medical release. It was rejected in 2012, and now they're up again for it. So she's just asking, will you please sign this petition on not letting this guy out of jail that literally butchered 2 loving people about. So that would again be Travis James Maxey. You can find it on change.org to help out and not make that not happen. This is the only place for real news anymore. It's talking about vote.co, VOAT.co. Obviously, there's other places that do great red pill news, but this is interesting. I saw another thing where somebody says, I thought you guys were crazy for 3 years. I told you were crazy for 3 years. Now I'm on board. So people are joining that literally were leftists and thought that this whole movement was crazy. It's really starting to happen now. I'm going to bring Gene on it now to talk about a little bit about this new, and I was giving this guy the benefit of the doubt, and as I saw some of his videos and the incredible information he pulled together in a really nice way, I was really intrigued about this guy. But now I see what he's doing on Twitter. His name's Austin Steinbart, and he's just, as people ask him questions, he's just being really rude and calling them morons and calling them you have lack of intelligence, and something I don't believe Q would do, number one. And he had me on board where he's sitting there talking about, hey, I am baby Q and like part of the Q team, the under 10 we talk about, 3 non-military, right? And then he went off the rails with his latest video saying not only is he not just baby Q, he is actually Q and Q plus. It's like, what? Like, I'm only Q, and I'm the only Q type thing, and I'm Q plus as well, and that's Q plus in the future is giving me messages back. So he went off the rails for me, and so Gene's been doing an incredible amount of research, and I wanted to show one thing here, and I'll let Gene take the rails on this. Is as you watch this video, watch how many times it flips. I'm not going to put the sound on, but just watch. Here it goes. Look how the screen will change. He'll talk perfectly, and boom, another clip. Then he'll go for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Clip, another clip. Then he goes like 2 seconds, another clip. So he's completely programming these to be very small pieces of information that's almost perfectly stated. So Gene, I'll let you take it now.
Yes, hi Rick. When you see this type, Anthony Robbins was big on this. He was a motivational speaker about 10, 20 years ago that became a multimillionaire doing motivational speaking and teaching people how to be motivational. That type of hand and body movement where they put their hands, it's putting their hands towards your face. It's called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. You can research it online. It's a way of subtly hypnotizing you and getting you to agree to what they're saying. He also not only said that he's Q plus, baby Q, he also said he's the supreme commander of Space Force, which is actually a general that Trump appointed. He can't be Trump and a general and this and that. Again, and it's like people ask me who you are and we don't know who you are. The messenger is irrelevant. And that's why you don't see Q saying who he is and all that on the board. It's the message that is important and not the messenger. That's the old way where titles, letters behind your name like PhD and all of that make you what you're saying true, where truth is evident in itself. It's not evident by the person giving it. The person is irrelevant. How you research is assume what, if you see something or hear something that sounds powerful and important, research it as if you're trying to prove it wrong first and see if you can do so. And research the person as well from all sides of the coin. And one of the researches I did on him, he is born, like you said, in Arizona. He does live in Arizona. I did confirm that. His father's father is the brother of Mitt Romney's father. So he's in the bloodlines, like he says. He's what would be, I guess, the relationship's second nephew to Mitt Romney. Not Mitt Romney.
You can just see how this is every sometimes he never talks more than 10 seconds, it seems, without it clipping to another thing. So it's really choreographed highly, right? And so you never hear him and I invited him on the show, and he was on Twitter at the exact same time. I DM him. He DM'd me about 6 months ago or so, and now he won't reply to me, and he won't answer my questions. He won't come on the show. So obviously, if he doesn't want to talk more than his little 10-second clips and 5 seconds and 2 seconds and 8 seconds. He wants to pull together these type of things. So I've lost complete, especially by the way he's treating people on Twitter, complete confidence that this guy is anything but a shill. So that's my opinion. You guys make your own decision. But anyway, Gene, go ahead.
Yeah, so when you see somebody who can't talk off the cuff and they have to splice and dice everything, if you know what you're talking about, when you're going through information, you can just free flow it. Like when you see like somebody doing, and they have a script that they're reading from, and they can put information in there that's not even written down that adds to it. That means they know what they're talking about. This is what you call 4 a.m. talking points, albeit he has a lot of powerful information and really in depth, and I haven't found anything other than who he's saying he is and what he is to be wrong. I mean, he's obviously not Space Force commander. He also said all UFOs are from the future and on and on. And he also, if you watch the videos carefully, he's sometimes right-handed and sometimes left-handed. That's something a martial artist would notice. You can tell by which hand he wears his watch on. And then he also sometimes has a wedding ring on and sometimes doesn't. and then why he said Hillary lost, that's the one thing I found where he somewhat contradicted himself in two different videos of why Hillary lost. So watch carefully and listen to everything he says. It's a lot of good information. The problem I have is the massive ego about who he is and what he is and all that. And, other than that, I'm fine with most of his information. The talking pattern and that neuro-linguistic programming drives me crazy because it's very offensive to me. I don't like people who are trying to mind control me. I've never cared for that. Why can't you just talk humbly and give out the information like Q does? He just gives you the information. All he said is you'd be surprised. He doesn't go on and on about who he is and what he is and all the amazing, which is amazing, information he's given us over the years.
Yeah, and it seems like Q would point to some type of event happening, or he'd be going back to old Q posts. He never really talks about Q posts. And so, he basically is slamming almost every anon there is. And so, so anyway, I think he's a divider is what my big, And,
like that, Dustin Nemo said like you brought up to me, Rick, that put your money where your mouth is. If you're Q and you control the Q board, put a post on Q like they've done with Q Plus, right? Put a post that verifies and then tweet out something that's posted on the board within seconds of what you tweeted to verify who you are. If you're really controlling the Q board, then do so. Let's prove that who you are. So
go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
No, I'm just gonna. I also friended him on Facebook. He accepted it, and he is answering questions on Facebook. So it was real intriguing, and the guy is very knowledgeable. And but didn't you say something, Gene, about maybe you were getting some feelings that there might be AI involved?
Yeah, this guy he's so flawless, literally looks like he's been, like you see in the old Playboys and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I used to look at my dad's when I was a little kid. The women are all airbrushed, and he looks airbrushed. I mean, he's so flawless looking, he looks like he's airbrushed. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the patterns and stuff are what you see. I know a lot of people don't have experience with AI, but I do. That's what you see with AI, this flawless movements and, smooth talking and always the same. It's very bizarre, but it reflects on a high likelihood of AI. Excuse me. Let me move this out.
Hey, no problem. All right. Hey, before we jump into the coronavirus and kind of there, I wanted to move to the GESARA, if you don't mind. Is it good timing now, Gene?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead. I'll hand it over to you here for this.
So I don't discount that, as Sandy Letham, I don't say absolutely he's not Q, but I would like him to prove so by simply posting something and tweeting it at the same time. Yeah. If he is Q, then let's just have it proved. Real simple.
Yeah, if they can do that with Trump, then he can do it with himself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is copied, what I did is I deleted it. The stuff I haven't vetted and I don't know to be absolutely sure is what's going on. And then I've slightly changed wording and here and there to be believed or something for things that are important. And so I would like to give Judy Boynton, who does the GESARA updates all the time, can't get the word, to honor her for doing this information and bringing this out. And then I'm just reporting the parts I know to be true. And then if it's important and I don't know it, I change the words to maybe or perhaps, etc. So this is about the restoring the republic of the United States to the flag.
So would it be fair to be edited by Gene right here? Is that right? Yeah. Edited by.
I had put that in there. I don't know where it went. Is this the first one? The bottom one I put, or the first one, Rick?
Oh, I don't know. I just pulled. I don't know you sent one.
You may not have done the edited one. Go to the very bottom. Take a break a second and go to the very bottom.
You're talking about on the email chain?
Yeah, on the email chain, there was one on the bottom. It should have said edited by Gene, or Ko-sensei, actually.
Okay, let me go back to that real quick.
Because we don't want to go through this huge one. Take a moment offline and I'll just talk to people. Thank you, Nancy Lucky. Appreciate that. That's sweet. And everyone else, thank you so much. And in regards to this, there is some recommendations that will be coming out regarding Japan and Taiwan's experiences. In Japan states that the acid in your stomach will destroy COVID. So if you're around somebody and they're coughing or something, carry water, a bottle of distilled water with you, and just every 5 to 10, 15 minutes, take a little mouthful of water and wash it down. So you're keeping that from going into your lungs where it infects you. You're swallowing it down. That's from Japan, from their cases that they've had. Then also they're recommending now, actually through the National Health Institute here in the US, that chlorine dioxide, which is, as people know from previous shows we've done, is you can either get that directly from the same places you get MMS from, and MMS creates chlorine dioxide that it treats, they said use it to deal with us, something like that. So
hey,
I want to say the word treats. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I've only got one email on this with one
email, but down on the bottom, you'll see the picture start all over again, and you'll see my part.
You're okay. Well, there's only one document, so is it in the same document?
All the way down.
Okay.
Keep going.
I got you.
There it is.
I got you. Edited by Cosensi. You already put that.
Yes, I did, sir.
Perfect. All right, boy. We think a lot. Great minds think a lot. Let's.
I don't know about great. I'm okay.
All right.
Great when helped by God.
There you go.
And Christ. Restored Republic via GCR, which means Global Currency Reset, Intel update by Judy Boynton. So I want to give her all the accolades for this. This was as of March 13th, 2020, compiled on March 13th, 2020 at 12:01 Eastern Standard Time. And she had a clip in here, and you can go find this clip. It's extremely disturbing to watch, but if you would like, it's easy to find on Jenny Hill and her 22 multiple personalities, in which she goes into a satanic ritual sacrifice that she was at, and where she was almost sacrificed herself to see that, like I left the warning here, the video attached, now I didn't attach it. You can find it online or by going to this Judy Boynton GESARA RV update, of which she was raped and tortured as a child sacrifice victim at age 5. So this lets you know that it's really going on. And the reason I left this in here is this is done by perpetrators who follow Satan, and organized by the U.S. Inc., such as the C_A, the Queen Elizabeth, the Vatican's Ninth Circle child sacrifice cult. They do this to local teenagers and covens. They are funded by the same cabal that is controlling our money globally. And so this is why you're going too fast. I can't read that fast, right?
I'm gonna try to make it all bigger just real quick, because there's no way there's no people on a cell phone could possibly see this side.
Okay, gotcha.
So just give me a second. I was trying
wow. I have to go into hyperdrive.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing that speed reading thing that we talked about, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go here, and I'm just gonna increase the text size way big for people on.
And the GESARA law was actually passed by Carter, and it was in Building 7, all the materials and information to do it. And lo and behold, just a few days later, there is no Building 7.
Yeah, exactly. Now are you right here? We did the warning.
Yeah. So this cabal runs the world global currency, and that's why Trump stated these people are sick. And there's I think that may be the YouTube there if you click.
Is that the bad one that we don't want to play?
Yeah. So
okay,
that's the one. You can go to that link and watch that yourself. It's really disturbing, but true.
Okay.
Divide they will try, fail they will. Where we go one, we go all. Support POTUS, follow Q, and trust the plan. Sources are now pointing to action beginning today, Friday, March 13th. Other contacts, and I verified this, so I leave it in Zurich, believed it would be released today, Friday, March 13th, through monies that are already in accounting and they may take until Monday, the 16th. Dinar sanctions have been lifted up, and the dinar rate is now floating on the Forex. That float would not affect contact rates. As of President Trump's speech on Wednesday night, the country appeared to be in a state of emergency, i.e., also known as medical martial law. As of tomorrow, March the 14th, President is said to be making a speech, and I haven't verified this, but we'll have to wait and see, on economics, taxes, and perhaps GESARA. On Wednesday, Pence did make a speech regarding a payroll tax waiver up until the end of the year, around the 14% mark is what he stated during that. He had all the heads of the medical situation in the U.S. and all of that with him. On the restored republic via a global currency reset, the failing stock market, Wall Street, saw a stark drop in the last weeks as fears over the corona continued to weigh on investors. The Dow plunged 10% due to the virus threat, and it hasn't seen such a drop since 1987. Japan stocks also dropped 9% due to the situation with China and the Asia market, Pacific markets selling being off. If the stock market drops 50%, it would be ideal to take out the fiat dollar and bring in the gold back to US dollar. If you look at the document on GESARA that Carter signed into law, it's not actually gold backed, it's actually gold. It's a 12-sided gold coin with an eagle on one side and God We Trust on the other, getting rid of all the satanic stuff that was on our dollar bill, all that's symbology. It seems to be heading towards medical martial law. As of today in Congress, the major support and cultural events have been called off. The governor of Colorado has done this too. It's also been done in California and in Washington and places that schools, events, churches, services, theme parks, such as Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and Universal have all shut down.
Yeah, my church was shut down.
Yeah, Dallas, so the theory is that, and I have a lot of backing for this theory, that this red alert is actually what is the latest intel of the Great Awakening for the reset. So the COVID-19 virus movie, which is scripted. In other words, it's a movie we're watching, like we talked about earlier, where the book that The Edge of Darkness, back in 1981, said that Wuhan would get a coronavirus, as well as The Simpsons did 2 episodes on it. So it's scripted and predicted long range, like they do with all their stuff that the deep state does. That the narrative was designed to justifiably close borders and inspire citizens to stay home, while upwards of 500,000 arrests and 151,000. I changed her number because if you go to the Q board, you can see the amount of arrests. She had a number
cases.
Over. Sealed cases. Yeah, thank you. Are on the board. Will take place in the U.S. and greater numbers worldwide. The horrendous crimes to humanity and corruption was related to human and sex trafficking. That's why that video was up there. A deplorable agenda by globalists who do such things as illegal organ harvesting, opioid, fentanyl epidemics. These have been linked to China and Britain and many other nations, as well as implementing espionage against the United States. And that's having to do with things like poor metal in the weapons and flak jackets and things that China was selling to the U.S. and Obama knew about this. And other things such as that. This military operation is modeled under the Sun Tzu Art of War, Sun Tzu Warfare. You can get the book Art of War. All military officers are required to read that book, by the way. The military and Trump administration is pivoting against deep state tactics as a strategy, in such that it will have the lowest impact to innocent citizens while freeing the world from decades of brainwashing to unmask evil operations. The deep state operates a over $150 billion per year child trafficking network. In the US alone, over 800,000 children per year go missing, and globally, over 8 million. And that's annually. Trump and White Hat Military Alliance has been ending this evil, and that has been covered up by the fake news, which you never see any of it reported, including hardly any of the rest, which just in Colorado alone, I know we had recently 73 arrests of Catholic and different church people due to child trafficking. The storm is here. Under order. The storm is here. We're in the eye of the storm.
So Gene, I hate though when predictions like this come and then we get disappointed.
Nothing happens. That's why I'm saying this is to the best of my knowledge. That don't go out and go saying this is what is going to happen. Well, we have to wait and see. I'm giving it because I see troop movements. I've seen them in Colorado. I've seen trains with lots of tanks and military hardware. I've seen huge C-5 Galaxies coming into the Air Force bases and the training bases here in Colorado, and that could be very easily used for mass arrest and to quell any kind of Antifa type activities that the deep state would try to spin off on us to keep and protect the people safe. Under the World Court, arrests of global and political elites under indictment for criminal and even treasonous acts appears to be going on. That's why I put appears. I changed her wording. Appears to be going on worldwide by local and national police entities in cooperation with the military and Interpol. And I changed some of the numbers slightly. There are now 37,000 more troops in Europe on top of the 320,000 troops already there. Major arrests have been happening in Italy. I have verified that. The Vatican had 66 arrested by Interpol.
Wow.
The Order of the Black Hand operating inside the Vatican. That's what they're arresting. It's called the Black Hand.
Wow. And so you had some confirmation though that the priests were, or the confirmation that there was just some arrests happening. 66 priests arrested. Okay. Inside the Vatican. I didn't know if this was the confirmation or this was just something that she wrote. Now that's confirmation. I've confirmed what she said. Okay, I got you. Wow, that's crazy. U.S. troops sent to Europe for a NATO exercise may be involved in arranging and engaging in arrest deep state assets. Now, not just in the Vatican, but in Switzerland, Brussels, Antwerp, Berlin, Paris, Amsterdam, and London, and that's according to Benjamin Fulford. Wow. And I back that up that those are occurring in Switzerland, Antwerp, Berlin, Amsterdam, and London, because I have people that I communicate with there. Wow, Gene, this would just be so amazing to think that they purposely create this COVID to try to stop the, we're not sure. There's different theories, but basically it was an enemy of the people, right? From the cabal, and yes, and it backfires on them, and to the point where we use it to do the storm. It's like wow, and the rest that would be crazy. Yeah, it's what martial artists, the Aikido type martial arts, where you use what they're doing against them. It's reflected back on them. I mean, God could do whatever he pleases with anything. Yeah, that's true. He probably twisted the makeup of this disease to affect them more than anybody else. And you can kind of see that, like the first places it went into, the virus in China went to Peking, it went into the hospital of the elites, and then it went into the university hospital where they do their organ harvesting. And the same thing in Iran, the advisor to the supreme leader is the first person to die, and the head of their medical is the second person to die. And they have 13 elites, right, are in their government. Yeah. Yep, and 20 people within the Iran hierarchy are now dead from it as well. Wow. Yeah, so it is interesting how it's moving. It does seem to look that way, doesn't it? Wow. So presently there's a massive movement of, scroll up please, military hardware inside the U.S. since Friday, as I had mentioned. And I've seen this I've had people tell me this all over the country, and you can actually go see on YouTube where you can see the hardware being moved. March 6th, there had been 2,200 more arrests of individuals that were obstructing the global currency reset.
A record number of corporate bosses have quit and lost their jobs since January. You can go to those two links, Rick.
And Bill Gates resigned today. That's pretty wild too.
Woo! So this is nationwide arrests.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So it kind of shows the pockets of where most of them are going on or something. Is that right?
Yep. And if you look at the COVID-19 map of where it is and look at the maps that are Democratic and look at the maps of sanctuary states and cities, these maps match. Mm. just coincidence.
The counties. Yeah,
like you said, at what point does it become mathematically impossible?
Right.
So take this map and go to the voting map, the illegal aliens map, and the map for...
Do you have that here?
Unfortunately, I didn't get time to attach those.
But okay, but you could do that. Okay.
You can do that. You can go on QMap. He has some of that on QMap.
U.S. carries out widespread nationwide arrest blitz on remorsefulness CGNG cartel. Now, that's interesting. But you're saying that might be the cover for all these arrests, right?
Yeah, that's the cover for the arrest for those obstructing the GCR.
Right, I got you.
Also go to that second link there, the light blue above.
Okay.
That's first. There you go. That's it. Excellent. Thank you.
So these are the sealed cases, right?
You can see all the data there, yes.
Yeah, so this is a whole detailed thing of all the different sealed cases.
It's like QMap, they just give you per state. Here's details.
Yeah, cases filed and sealed, and that's why I like to make sure people understand, because we change this to cases, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 150,000 with sealed cases would be here. I probably messed up. Let me back up that. Because there's 1,600, you probably say.
He says indictments. It's actually sealed cases. Sorry, I was rushing to hear.
That's okay. That's okay, but that's good stuff. And then here's another Google Docs. And I'll put all this. Well, this will all be in the show notes because Gene's document will be in the show notes. That'll show all this stuff. So looks like that's a similar thing here, right?
Yeah, similar thing. It's just linking into it two different ways.
Okay.
So there's over 150,000. Go back up a little, please, Rick. Thank you. Sealed cases, and there's over 1,613 indictments acted upon currently. Last night in President Trump's speech, he discussed a state of emergency and martial efforts in reference to martial law, which we are in right now as a state of medical emergency. The president is said to be making another speech said that he will be making another speech on GESARA, economics, and taxes, perhaps on tomorrow, Saturday, the 14th. The market has been wavering up and down in red, but the fiat dollar needs to drop 50% so we can replace it with the gold standard. The new tax system, as per GESARA, she says around 15%. The document I put in parentheses states, the GESARA document states 14.7, and that's a sales tax on non-essentials, which means it's not on food, it's not on medical, it'd be on new items such if you buy a house or other products other than essentials. It wouldn't be like if you bought a used house, then you wouldn't pay, and that's less than what you pay for income tax. And the income tax would be gone and the IRS would be relegated to monitoring that sales tax. Redemption staff are going in early today. They went in early, so I vetted that too.
What's redemption staff?
We'll get into that shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, the dinar level, which a lot of this is based on the gold, is based on the dinar and in Zimbabwe money as well. Dinar sanctions have been lifted, and the dinar rate is now floating as per Forex, as I read earlier. Most sources feel this should be out the door as of today. Go ahead and scroll up, Rick. Contact Evan Zert believed it would. I guess she has one too. Believe it would be released today and available, as I said previously, on the 16th. The first prosperity package should be delivered as of yesterday. That's the 12th. The shutdown of Capitol Hill, that they shut it down yesterday, was because of the virus. My question is, and I've heard some say it, and could that be to do arrests of some of the treasonous people in Congress? Because you can't arrest them while they're in session.
Yeah, interesting.
The plan to streamline the exchanges has had minimal physical interaction, meaning it hasn't had a massive impact yet. The stock market is starting to implode, but the good news, of course, it did an upturn with the calmness of our great POTUS. And this is the chart. You can click on that, Rick, for the currency conversion. And it goes through, people can go to that and see the charts for the conversion rates. It goes through all the different things like the ZIM, which I took out because most people, unless you're a big investor, aren't into ZIM and all of these, and Just Now and all those other.
You're just talking about calculators to do the things. Okay. All right.
So an hour or so prior to liquidity release, Wells Fargo, HSBC banks would send out over 400, this is what's proposed, 400,000 emails to currency and bondholders, along with instructions on how to exchange and redeem. This information would be available on certain websites. For example, for the dinar, it's listed different dinar derivatives, and
probably a commercial, it looks like. I don't even know how to get
so
rid
they
of
can
it.
link to that when they have their own time, Rick.
Yeah. Sounds good. I was trying to get rid of the thing.
It
doesn't like me.
Yeah, doesn't like you. Each country will have their own 800 number. There'll be local 800 numbers as well, by the way. State.
Are they trying to exchange dollars?
Yes, this is what this is referring. You would be given a time up till currency. Currently, they're saying the end of the fiscal year, which is April 15th, to exchange your dollars if this occurs. And so you would be given an 800 and you'd get the new monies, the new gold currency. And so you would have an 800 number where you could call in and go in and make that exchange, and that those rates and exchanges would be able to be done between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. at local banks, establishments, and currency exchange points. You would want to do that prior to going in, as make an appointment, because you can imagine people just like right now, you go to the store. I just went today. There's hardly anything in the store's packed. There's no toilet paper. They have 10 years of butt wipe.
So why is there so much emphasis on the dinar?
Dinar is what the world, people don't realize, it's what the world currency is actually is fluctuating on currently.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people investing in dinar saying they're going to get massively wealthy. Is that going to happen for them?
Yeah. Susan asks, 800 number is just to set an appointment up to go into an exchange place, and you would exchange money per the exchange rate and Trump will give out the ones through the banking system, through the Treasury, of what is legal, so you don't get taken on this by somebody doing a scam. And so if you don't have a trust account for your exchange or redemption, a Treasury direct account will be set up so you can exchange your funds. And you would have up to 90 days to set up and transfer the monies into your trust account. The deep state cabal has been shrinking and is being rapidly defeated. There were over 12,001 resignations, and that's the resignations as of December 26, 2017 alone, let alone last year. And you actually had resignation Anon. He's the one that does that.
Right.
And an NSA on your show, an NSA source claimed that the president has ordered a full-scale investigation of all communications. There were bills, and I sent you an email on this, Rick, with the congressional bill as a document after the show started. Sorry, when I was on backstage. There's bills. It's called Fast Track, where they put it in Congress and Senate during the holiday break, so most of the Democrats were gone. Just like how they passed the Federal Reserve, most of the Republicans were gone. So it's called Fast Track, where the bills were set through the Congress and the Senate simultaneously, and then the president signed them. And what that does is that was to take out all Chinese 5G and smart tech across the country. They went and ripped it all out. because there's proof now that, and that's the public health quarantine, that list there. You could go ahead and throw that up if you want, Rick.
Sorry, I didn't know if that was what you were.
I sent you.
I don't know if that's what you were talking about, if that was something else.
Yeah, we're going into the COVID in a little bit anyway. So this is, look at the date. That's last year. November 15th, last year. Wow. These areas for quarantine programs, and you can, Dallas, Texas, where you are, El Paso, Houston, Seattle, Washington, Anchorage, Alaska, Los Angeles, California, San Diego, California, San Francisco, Miami, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Honolulu, Hawaii, Chicago, Illinois, Boston, Massachusetts, Detroit, Michigan, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Newark, New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, San Juan, Puerto Rico, of course. So those are different areas that they'd already, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, decided that they would quarantine.
Okay, wild. So you texted me something, Gene. I don't know if you want me to bring that up or not yet.
Yes.
Okay, so if I go to that, there's a text with a link to the congressional stuff.
Yep, there's the bill. Secure and Trusted Communications Network. We don't trust the 5G that was made by China, as well as a lot of the other stuff. So this bill was passed through and signed into law by the president and went through the parallel bill simultaneously. It's called Fast Track, Congress and Senate. And it goes, you can read the bill. This is the government website where the bills are posted.
And so basically this kept the Huawei 5G from coming into our country anymore, right?
Yes, sir. That's the congressional bill. You can go look at the Senate bill.
Okay.
116th Congress.
Let's see if I can get back to here. Here we go. Did you move forward yet?
Yep. The federal court recently, and that you can go and look at Tom Fenton, Judicial Watch, and he has a petition that you can also sign, in which they have deposed Hillary Clinton to go into federal court and read her emails and reveal her emails on the Benghazi attack and all her other emails. She's been deposed. Right. So she is going to be taken back to court again. And she said it's a violation. I said no, because the emails were never gone through. You didn't release your emails. You said, what difference does it make at this time? So you haven't been deposed and gone through those. So it's not a violation of your rights because you're not being tried for the same thing twice.
Right. You never got tried the first time.
Exactly. So the DSC are becoming reckless in their remarks. This signifies their desperation. And this is the first link is Kavanaugh Gorsh.
Yeah.
In Breitbart.
Yeah, when Schumer was talking about that. Yep.
And this is a Breitbart Justice John Roberts and Schumer.
Yeah. Yeah, we reported on those two things.
Just to reiterate and clarify, and then also this is a quote from Rudy Giuliani. I have a memo that shows Hunter Biden was engaged in a $14.6 billion money laundering scheme. The prosecutor got that 3 days before he was fired. The prosecutor has been poisoned with mercury.
Wow.
So they killed the prosecutor. According to sources, the alliance is using the COVID-19 outbreak to bring in the new gold-backed monetary system. So according to her sources and mine, the Earth Alliance is also using what is known as Defender 20, and there's a link there which is to deploy special forces.
Interesting. So that's some type of agreement that we have or something?
Yes. That's with NATO, in which we use the Army Rangers and the Navy SEALs and other special forces to do ops.
Interesting.
Those thousands of troops we're mentioning.
Yeah, wow. I was trying to make it bigger and it shrunk and it disappeared on me. There it is. All right. Well, I'll go back and look at that. Gene did this about an hour before I was going live, or maybe even a half hour before I was going live, to say let's switch courses.
Yeah. Switch course. Yeah. We were going to do the more of the things not to put inside your body. I thought this was much more important with what's happening right now to know this, especially this next part on COVID. Here are preventative measures you can take against the COVID virus. As a member of the Stanford Hospital Boards put us out, the new coronavirus may not show up as a sign of infection for many days. By the time you have the fever and cough, the lungs can have 50% fibrosis and it can be too late. So how can you know you're infected? Experts in Taiwan have said a simple check to do every morning: go into and take 10 deep breaths, take a deep breath and then hold your breath. Take a deep breath and hold it for 10 seconds. And I would suggest you squeeze your lungs at the same time. If you can do this successfully without coughing, discomfort, stiffness, or tightness, it proves there is no fibrosis taking place in the lungs and basically indicates there is no infection. In critical time, please check every morning. It's a critical time now, so please do that every morning to make sure you do that in an environment with clean air as well. And we've already bought an air clean filter, and again, recommend you be doing the humidifiers with the hydrogen peroxide, 1 ounce per gallon of the 35%. And remember what Rick said, I'm not a medical professional, so make sure you follow your doctor's recommendations and do your own research.
I have my humidifier going right now, with the 1%.
And my wife was saying that she thinks that's why Rocky got better, Rick.
Might be. Might be. He's finally fully better after almost 12 weeks of about
Lou said, I just did that and I passed. You're good to go, Lou. Yay. We need good mods. So
now he's feeling better than ever, wanting to go tack German Shepherds. It's like, what are you doing? He's never done that before. So.
Yeah, he's making him feel peppy.
Yeah.
So serious, excellent advice by Japanese doctors that are treating the virus cases, that everyone should ensure your mouth and throat are kept moist and never let them get dry. Take a few sips of water every 15 minutes at least. Why? Because even if the virus gets into your mouth, if you drink the water or other liquids and wash them down into your stomach, the stomach acid will kill the virus. If you don't drink water enough and regularly, the virus can enter your windpipe and then into your lungs, which is very dangerous, which is how you contract it. So wash your hands, don't touch your face, keep your hands and face clean. And when you go out, once this gets raging, use eye protection and gloves and a mask, and then 95 or above. But just by carrying a nice bottle of distilled water, like in the store, guy's coughing, at a mask around his neck, but not over his mouth. I'm like, yeah, what's the point of that? So, just drink some water real quick. Also, chlorine dioxide solutions, as we talked about earlier, can be used. It's protective so that's the end for chlorine dioxide.
Okay.
And then I wanted to go into, is Child Protective Services trafficking children?
Okay.
And in Colorado, we have several cases where they grab children, and the children haven't been seen again. And in one case, the child was seen on the dark web being auctioned.
Wow. Is this chlorine dioxide has nothing to do with MMS, or
that is what MMS makes.
Okay.
But you can also get chlorine dioxide solution, which what they do is once it makes it, they bubble it through water and it binds, it goes into solution in the water.
Okay.
And you can buy that from the same place as the what they call CDS water solution. Nonprofits, there's several nonprofits now dedicated to helping children that have suffered abuse. And this is one: exploited and abused children and adult abuse survivors through the Underground Railroad and rescues exploited children. The rrescue.org, and that's by the link is there. And then the Kevin Annett has the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State, the ITCCS, where they look into rescuing exploited children and exposing their torture and various things, as you can read there. And there's the link for that. And then also Felicity Lee has the Ivory Garden, which promotes the healing of those with DID, which is what is caused by the MK Ultra. And there's the link for that. I would also recommend, that's not on this document, if you have personal cases, and there's 2 links for her there, for Felicity, that one and the one below. Then also Neil Brick has the SMART publishes information on the satanic ritual abuse of children, and that's the link for that. And Enough is Enough, which is a national bipartisan nonprofit organization which leads the fight for internet safer for children and families since 1994. And it's to clear the internet of child pornography, sexual predation, sex trafficking, cyberbullying, and it takes a 3-prong approach between the public and corporate America and the legal community. Then there's Child Abuse Recovery Trauma Survivors, which is called CARTS, Humanitarian Project, which are in New Zealand, Austria, Indonesia, Ireland, US, Indian nations, Canada, Croatia, Sweden, Germany, Slovakia, Africa, Panama, and many more across the US. And also which is not in here, which is really excellent, is called BACA, which is Bikers Against Child Abuse. There's national chapters and there's local chapters, and the bikers all write in if a child's been abused. They actually will help the child and escort them if they need counseling. If they go to court, they go to court with them. They walk in court surrounding them so the abusers can't get at them. They give them their own little biker jacket. If they need counseling later, they continue. If the house needs to be guarded, they set up guards 24 hours a day to protect the abuser from getting back at the child. They've rescued quite a few children. It's quite amazing. If you go on YouTube, you can see all over the country where it's called BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. It's excellent. So
we are over an hour now, so if we I know you're almost done.
The rest of this and just read this about the 22 faces. That's what I talked about with Jenny Hill and that Ninth Circle sacrifice cult that she got involved in.
Right.
That involved the Queen Elizabeth, the Vatican, the Pope, Francis, private bankers like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the central bankers, and BRICS and Interpol.
Wow.
And Trump and White House are bringing that to an end.
There's a video there as well.
Yep.
All right, and that's it. You did great. So wow, what great information. If this actually happens, it's going to be amazing. But I want people not to pin their hopes on exactly it all happening in your timing. Like, it's not going to happen in the next couple days. Everything's done. This is going to happen years to clean up this satanic cult, right? So I don't know if you have any wrap up thoughts, Gene, on it.
Yes. This has actually been going on, like you said, for way more than 3 years. Before they got Trump in, they've been cleaning things up overseas and all over. You can look at things they were doing against the Pope and moves they were taking against the church as well throughout the world before Trump got in. This has been a war for quite a while. And so we're now in the eye of the storm where it's going to become obvious if what I put out today occurs, everybody on earth will be aware pretty quick. So we all need to pray that we see this come to truth and that God's truth comes out and that all of this is cleared and that we get back our freedom, we get back our wealth and our, children, and that the children are all rescued.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to pick out a verse maybe I'm just flipping through real quickly some of the stuff that we reviewed in Acts. I think it was Acts 14 where I had one of those verses. But
I see we're over target. We have a lot of trolls.
The trolls are.
You're over target.
Yeah,
when you're getting shot at.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just look up one of my memory verses, like 1 John 1:1. One of my favorite ones is one I just can't get over because it teaches the Trinity so well, and that person is in control. That is the cool part. Well, there it is. So now we get to the New Testament. You just scroll through here. This is basically what I'm using is obviously the Romans Road is really cool as well. But you can see here Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and then you can go, and for some reason it's not showing me the whole thing, so I'm going to have to kind of go back to it. But John 1:1 and John 1:14 are two of my favorite things to always talk about, because it talks about Christ coming to earth and who is he, right? So you can see on verse 14 it says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. That's clearly talking about the Word being Jesus. The Word became flesh. And what does 1:1 say? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So Jesus was there, was there in the beginning. So he was there in the beginning, creating the world with the Spirit, with also the Father, and he was with God. So he's separate person, right? But he was God. So he is divine, the one God. It's only one God, but it's three persons of Trinity. Clearly, the Word became flesh. All right, so I just thought we'd just end with something that's biblical there and say, hey, you can trust him. You don't have to fear. Jeremiah 29:11, I think it was the whole thing about he loves us. He's preparing. He'll help us. So let's not fret. Let's enjoy the fact that.
So Jeremiah 29:11, Rick.
Uh-huh.
For I know, that's one of my favorite.
Okay.
For I know what I have planned for you, says the Lord. And it speaks to what we're saying today. I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you. I have plans to give you a future filled with hope.
Yeah, Jeremiah 29:11. I even have it highlighted. And that is so good. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So depend on Jesus. That's the number one thing of all your prep. Get yourself right with Jesus, because he can protect you from anything. All right. So let's wrap it up there and say thank you guys so much. Thank you, Gene, for your great work on this. And look at national emergency declared. What's going to happen? Gene just went over the GESARA. Crazy stuff going on here. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for Gene and his work. Thank you so much for the white hats. Protect them. Protect the troops at these times. Allow the true enemy to be the ones that get arrested, the true ones that get exposed. Allow those that are innocent to be able to survive this virus, Lord. We pray for the people in China to stand up against their government. We pray for the people in Iran to stand up against their government, and that we will see the amazing work of the Lord here soon, Lord. We just submit ourselves to you. Use us, Lord. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. We love you guys, and we will talk to you next time. I'm backstage.
God bless you all. Have a good evening. And as GTO Mama said, prep, pray, and stay out of the way.
That's right. All right. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time. You've just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited short B2T clips on a new channel called B2T Clips. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, Backstage with Blessed Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.